I have clients that have many millions of dollars, and I have clients that have $1 million. And it's all relative to your lifestyle, where you spend money, what you spend it on, what legacy you want to leave or not leave.
Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to Upticks with Jake and Cory. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Jake, thank you for having me.
Cory, got anything new or exciting that you want to share with the audience before we dive into today's important topic?
I'm ready to dive into the topic.
Got nothing new?
I've got some new stuff going on. I've got a trip booked, Jake. Actually, I'm going to Florida, I think the same time that you are. Cassie and I are going to take Daisy to Florida in April, which we're excited about that. Just got that on the books. And I'm, actually, when you're going at the same time.
Yeah, I am going to Florida. I've got a lot of trips planned. I'm going to Costa Rica. I'm going to New York City. I'm going to California. Then I'm going to Florida. No, I'm going to Florida. Then I'm going to California. Then I'm going to Tulsa. How about that?
Look at that. And you're recording your own audiobook in New York City, right? Are you going to do the voiceover?
I am going to be the voice of not Upticks. I am the voice of Upticks. I'm going to be the voice of
Upticks.
I'm going to be the voice of Retiring Right, Smart Steps to Exiting Corporate America. Geez. Thank you, Cory, for that. Quick plug to the book. If you're out there, it's an Amazon bestseller, and I'll be in New York the end of March recording the audio version. I've had a request for the audio version, so we'll make sure it's out there and available.
Good.
So yeah, I'll be working in New York for a few days and probably eat some good food, do a lot of walking. I think we're going to see Broadway show. We're going to see, how about this, Cory? We're going to see Denzel Washington in there's a Shakespeare deal on Broadway. Denzel's in it.
That's pretty neat.
That's really cool. So I'm excited about that.
Really cool. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, I saw Daniel Craig in a Broadway show. Another Shakespeare. I don't like Shakespeare that much, but it's Denzel Washington, so it'll be cool.
Yeah, it's cool. We need to get back there. I've seen one show on Broadway, and then the pandemic broke out like 2 months later. So I need to get back.
Yeah, it's great. You can't beat that. It's hard to beat that. All right, let's get in today's show though.
Let's do it.
Right. All right. So today's topic is why retirement planning is not one size fits all. Now, for our audience, you might think, yeah, that's obvious, but I want to get today, Cory, I want to go into some specific situations with real clients that you and I have dealt with of why exactly retirement is not one size fits all. And even though you and I are content creators, we're influencers, not in like the flashy way, but we influence people out there.
That's right.
We still don't give advice on this show or on Instagram. We give advice one-on-one because you can't give advice to 10,000 people.
That's right.
That applies to all 10,000 people. So, Cory, I'll let you start. You're my guest. I'll let you start. Which direction you want to go in first? Because I've got some ideas of things I want to talk about.
I want to start by giving you a hot take, Jake. How's that sound? And that is retirement planning. Your retirement plan should be as unique as your fingerprint.
Ooh, I like that one, Cory.
It shouldn't be identical to anyone else's because no one else is living your life. You are.
Right. And even though I literally wrote the book on retirement planning, right?
That's right.
But my book is not designed to be the answers to all of your retirement questions. It's designed to be a guide of things you need to think about and firm up. But my book doesn't tell you how to retire right. It tells you the things you need to think about to retire right, which is a nuance. But you're right. I love that, Cory. A fingerprint.
Yes.
It's
because again, no one else is going to live your life. I'm not like even any clients we work with, Jake, I'm not living their life. They're not living my life. Like we obviously want to be here as for support and to help them plan to make the things that they really are dreaming about a reality. But it's about them. It's about their plan. It's about their money. It's about what they want to achieve. It's not about here's what I think is you should do. I want you to tell us what you want to do and we'll help you figure out how to make it happen. But it shouldn't be influenced by your neighbor or coworker or anybody else. It should be about what matters for you because ultimately you're the one living your own life.
Yeah, and you know what? I've seen it. Like between you and I, we literally have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients, and we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of meetings. And I have clients, Corey, that have worked right next to each other. Two different clients, you know, coworkers, same cubicle, same manufacturing plant, whatever you want to call it, right? Say two offices right next to each other. Same job function, right? Same length of service. I have a lot of utility worker clients. Did the same job with these people for 30 years.
But I bet they don't have the same fingerprint.
Exactly. Well, they don't have a same fingerprint. I don't know. They might, but I don't know about
Sure.
that. But their financial plans are very different. Made the same money, maybe even saved the same amount of money, Corey. But what
Yep.
happens is, I'll tell you what happens is all our family dynamics are different. It really comes down to your family because that's the first place that I see paths start to kind of go across. Like even you and I, like I'm older than you.
Mhm.
So of course our plans are going to be different from that. B, now you have a daughter. So your financial plan has taken a different road than mine has taken.
That's
Right. And
right.
then I moved, like I had my house before you, but I moved. I have a different house. So now when I bought a new house, my financial plan took a different turn than yours. So again, unless you are, and no, I don't see anybody doing this, unless you're living an identical lifestyle. I'm talking about all the way down from spending the same amount of money to your utilities being the same, your mortgage being the same, your
Your
investment returns
emotions.
being the same, your emotions being yeah. So again, this is why, and again, that's right. But I want to give some specific examples. Let me go into one.
Please. Yeah, let's hear it.
Social Security is a big one, Corey. I mean, you can turn on Social Security typically for normal people as early as 62, and then it fully maxes at age 70. So you've got 8 years of variables of when you start collecting Social Security. And my point is, there are Social Security books or white papers or podcasts out there,
Yep.
but I want to encourage our audience not to read it. I mean, you can read those if you want more information on the way that it works, but you can't, there is no one size fits all with Social Security. People ask me that all the time. When should I turn on Social Security? And the running joke is, you got to tell me when you're going to die, and I'll tell you when to collect it, which is
That's it's
a
a real
morbid
answer.
joke. It is a morbid joke, but I can tell you when the break even is, right? But again, that even the break even doesn't answer the question. What are your thoughts on Social Security?
Gosh, I've got a lot of them, but I think to stay aligned with what we're talking about here today, Jake, in the comments that you've just made, it's recognizing that it's very different for everyone. And I think even like Social Security people generally understand that like there's a lot of different ways that you can go about collecting it and you want to try to make the right decision. But the point is that even Social Security is not one size fits all, right? But I think that the real actual factors that influence this are, how old is a husband? How old is a wife? What does the financial situation look like? Who are you providing support for? Like thinking about how it fits into the financial plan is really important, but you need a strategy for Social Security and a strategy for your retirement plan that's aligned with your lifestyle. That's what you
Right,
need.
right. And you're not going
But
to
it's
get
going to
that
be
from a
different because it's your life.
yeah, exactly. You're not going to get that from a book. You're going to get that, and
Nope.
you're not going to get that from AI. Some
Nope.
bot's not going to be able to tell you that because there's the numbers crunching side of it, which is what we do, and that's actually pretty easy. But then
Right.
there's the pulling of the emotional side of it, which is an art that is something that you and I have crafted over. I'm 19 years. What are you, 15 years now
Yes.
doing
Yeah.
this?
15.
Yeah. So you have 15 years experience. I have 19 years, and now we've got four financial planners who we've trained to have these emotional, mathematical conversations with clients. And that's the art of wealth management. And that's the art of financial planning that, again, it is not a one size fits all. And I don't want people to be scared by this. That's the beauty of it. To me,
Exactly.
to this day, Corey, my favorite meeting is the first meeting I meet with a potential client because
Mm,
I get to draw out all of that stuff, the emotional, the finances. We're looking at all of it, and we are just laying the foundation. Now, what our planners love doing, which again, I'm thankful for them. They love taking that data and building the plan out, which again, I don't mind doing, but I love that first meeting because it's a new fingerprint, to use your analogy. It's a new
nice.
situation. It's a new situation. It's
Yes.
something that I haven't ever met with. So to me, it's a new challenge. And I
That's right.
love I love that challenge of listening to their emotions, looking at the numbers, and trying to help them establish a baseline for that financial plan. Good. Do you have another scenario where you've met with clients that like Social Security? Do you have something else?
Yes, I think this is a little bit more myth busting, Jake, but it's around the idea that you need a huge nest egg to retire. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe, and huge is very subjective, right? How big that really needs to be, especially, with inflation and all the numbers change and everything else. The point there really is that how much money you need to retire depends upon your lifestyle. That's it. And your lifestyle is what's going to drive how you're thinking about what retirement planning looks like in the first place. So you've got to get the alignment there. But I also think that you need to recognize that when you're planning for your own retirement, like we almost take away from it, Jake, by saying retirement planning, because that's an expression that we all hear all the time. But like retirement could be a 30 or 40-year period in your life. And we're talking about planning for a big chunk of your entire life.
Right.
Like you plan a lot before during education, even, if you have children, if you're having a kid or multiple children, right? Family planning. We plan for our lives up to this point, but it's sort of like the day that we stop working, it's like, well, after that, it's rainbows and sunshine. It's like, no, you need to plan for it. Because the clients that I see that are the happiest and most fulfilled in retirement are the ones that have taken the time to do this and to figure out what's really important to them.
Right. And like you said, it's all relative. So again, I get miffed when I think that's a word. That's one of your words, miffed.
Miffed. All right. Yeah, that's fair. Go
Does that
on.
mean mad?
What gets you miffed? I think so.
I get miffed when I see these article headlines.
Yeah.
You need, whoever, guru who says you need $1.7 million to retire in America now. Well, that miffs me
Based
because
on
it's
what?
like, yeah, exactly. I have clients that have many millions of dollars, and I have
Yeah.
clients that have $1 million. And it's all relative to your lifestyle, where you spend money, what you spend it on, what legacy you want to leave or not leave. And so you're right. There is no dollar amount. So if anyone watching or listening to the show sees a dollar amount in a headline or from one of these gurus out there, just ignore it because I can tell you how much you need after we build a financial plan. Like I did that yesterday. I was meeting with a potential new client, and I think they really appreciate it. I said, based on what you told me from that first meeting, and based on what you want to do, this is your number. This is how much. This is how many millions of dollars you need to be able to retire how you want to retire. And I think they really appreciated that. But so I can tell you that number. But my point is, you're not going to get that number from Instagram or a podcast or a book or a radio show. You're going to get that number from having a one-on-one conversation with a qualified, licensed professional to be able to get that data that they need to be able to give you that number that you need. And then, like you said, it can change.
Yes. It
You
will
may
change,
need a lot. You
right?
may need a lot in the beginning, but if your lifestyle changes, then you don't need so much, or vice versa. Maybe in the beginning you don't need as much, but you change your lifestyle, so now you need more. So, what does that look
Yep.
like? We adapt the plan. We change the plan.
Yeah, and another aspect, Jake, that I'm glad that you highlighted that because like the fluidity and the flexibility is so crucial. Because I think that even the traditional retirement ages, right? I would argue that traditional retirement ages are outdated. Like the way that people think about retirement. Some people think about retirement as like 50 or 55 years old. Some people really think I'm going to work until 70. But the idea that everybody works until 60 or 65 and then they stop working and they have a comfortable retirement. The reality is people today live much longer in retirement than they did decades ago. Like
Right.
it would be foolish to not take that into consideration. It would be silly to just assume like, oh, well, if this has been the blueprint that's worked for everybody else, I'll just follow the same one. Like
Right.
as people live longer and live healthier, like planning is going to have to be more flexible.
Right. And it's going to have to change. Like you and I have even changed over, 15 and
Yeah, a
19 years.
lot.
The way that we give advice has changed. So let's talk about that. Let's go into a little bit of the investment management because that's kind of where I think you were leaning a little bit. Like that's another point. Your investment portfolio is not one size fits all either. What makes sense for one client is not going to make sense for another. And I'm not talking about risk tolerance here. I'm talking about your plan, the numbers. And here's the deal. This is going to sound backwards, but
Let's hear it.
this is really, in my experience, Corey, how it works. Now, again, this is not advice. Don't take this as advice. Anyone.
Roger that.
However, generally speaking, and this sounds messed up, but the more money you have, the more risk you can take. So believe it or not, Corey, some of our bigger clients are more aggressive, and you would think they would be more conservative, but if they can afford the risk, then we typically turn that risk on. Now, you would think a smaller client with a smaller portfolio would need to take on more risk to catch up, but that doesn't work that way because here's the deal. When you get to retirement and you turn that income spigot off from wages, there's no coming back. So if you have it too aggressive and the stock market implodes like it did during COVID, 2018 was a bad year, the financial crisis, the dot com, but
Sure.
we had another one of those. And you got too much money in stocks. Now you're doing permanent damage to your portfolio. And if you're not willing to go back to work or drastically change your lifestyle, you have the risk of running out of money. And that's a very, and I'm not trying to scare people, but that's my point. So believe it or not, the less money you have in retirement, I'm not talking about someone in their 30s. I'm talking about if you're retired, the less money you have, typically you got to be a little bit more conservative actually to weather that storm.
Yep, that's good, and it's so opposite of what people do just tend to think, which is that, like, if somebody feels like they're behind or they gotta catch up, it's sort of like relying upon the market to provide the returns that they think that they're gonna need to catch up, and maybe it will and maybe it won't, but there's
Right.
definitely risk involved in that. So, yeah, and what I love about the comment you just made, Jake, is that sure, some of our larger clients or clients in retirement with more money maybe invested more aggressively, but you know what? Some of them are still invested real conservatively because again, it's about aligning their plan with their portfolio and what's going to work for them. Like I've literally met with two different subsets, lots of different subsets, but I have drawn this distinction. I've met with some clients that don't want to take any more risk than they have to, and I've met with some clients who don't want to be any more conservative than they have to.
Yeah.
But how much money they have doesn't matter.
Right, right, exactly. It all has to, and that's my new mantra, Corey. I don't know if you saw that out there, but my new deal. I used to say buy low, sell high, and I'm listening to this really good book right now called The Intelligent Investor.
Mm,
Is that where it
yes.
was, or did I read it? No, I think I listened. No, this was on a podcast. I listened to this on a podcast, but the guy was knocking fun of buy low, sell high. He's like, "A, that's a little obvious." Here's a quick tangent for you. A, that's a
Yeah,
little
good.
obvious. Buy low, sell high. He's like, B, but
Yeah.
you know why I stopped saying it? Because the retail investor doesn't always understand. They may think what I'm saying, Corey, is that a $20 stock is better than a $500 stock.
Mm,
And that's not the case at all, by the way. So I stopped saying it. And now my new thing is invest with intention. Because
yep.
you're right. I think it boils we got to make sure everything is aligned with your financial plan. And then again, what is your preference? Like you said, do you want to be as conservative as you have to be and take more risk or do you want to vice versa? But like we can line all of that up and I'll give you an example. I have a client who sadly she passed away. She lived a great life though. I think she was in her early 90s or late 80s. And
Okay.
her portfolio, Corey, was extremely aggressive. So another thing I want to challenge our audience is it doesn't matter your age on how your portfolio was aligned. The reason she was extremely aggressive, Corey, is because she was basically pulling dividends from her account randomly when she needed it. She didn't need it for her day-to-day lifestyle. She had a pension, she had social security. She was fine. Like she did not need her investment portfolio. So this lady was savvy enough and wise enough to say, keep it in stocks. And her portfolio grew the last decade of her life. Like seriously, like compounded, like a lot. And
Yep.
I'm arguing that like if a weaker advisor would have said, no, you're when it met her when she was 80 or whatever. No, no, no,
Mm,
no. You're 80, you need to be all in cash and bonds. Her family wouldn't have inherited the size of the estate because of that bad advice. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, so again, it's not cookie cutter. You can't read some book, and you have to be careful the advisor you're working with because our whole deal at
yeah.
Falcon Wealth Advisors is we want to align those investments. We want to invest with intention. What does this money need to accomplish?
Right. Yeah, that's right, Jake. And you know what we have not talked about today is the product you need for a successful retirement.
Good job, Corey. You're right.
Because that's what it really means to like in my mind, Jake, we've worked together for a long time. We are focused on building this company to be the best that it can be for our clients and be the best that it can be for our team. And that is what drives us to keep doing this every day. And this is all that you and I have done. Like, I can't be more clear on that. So
Right.
when I say the following, what I mean is that people just need to recognize, like, if you're when you're talking about retirement planning, you're talking about a long period of your life. And when you think about what you need during that period of time, it's not going to be some magic investment product. It's not going
Right.
to be to make sure that you own all of the right stocks. It's going to be that you have a plan that's aligned with your lifestyle, a portfolio that's aligned with that plan, that you have a trusted partnership and relationship with someone that you can talk to about this, and someone that you can check in with regularity to make sure that you're adjusting things as life happens and things change. And I can say that, Jake, from doing this for 15 years and having thousands of meetings with people, just like you said. I can tell you this is what you need to do. This is like the right approach. It's not all the specific things, but it's about the relationship and the partnership. It's not a product or
Yeah,
a
these
stock
products are so
or an
stupid.
investment idea.
These products are I've looked at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, Corey, of portfolios. And I could say this I have never looked at a portfolio and be like, man, that's a really good product. I'm glad you have that product.
Mm,
No, they're so stupid. These annuities, these mutual funds, these index funds that these advisors push on their poor clients who are ignorant or easily sold or just trusting that they don't need. And these products, Corey, are costing America millions of dollars. Americans, millions of dollars.
probably more.
Yes, maybe billions. And here's the deal. I am not against a product if you're doing it alone.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, because literally, Corey, we've got a team of 4 professionals that are analyzing, they're buying and selling, they're investing with intention every day for our clients. That is their full-time job. These people wake up, they come to work, and that's what they do. That's it. They
Yeah,
have
they're
no
not
other.
throwing darts in the options market on their cell phone between meetings.
Yeah, but my point is if you don't wanna do that full time, if you as a human, as an American or whatever, you don't wanna do that full time, then you need to outsource it. And so you can either outsource it to a company like ours, Falcon Wealth Advisors, who we do that for you, or you can outsource that to a product to do that for you. But here's my problem is when the advisor charges you a fee on top of the product fee, that is what I'm talking about is so stupid.
Right.
It's so
Yeah, and you
dumb.
should ask yourself the question of, what am I paying that advisor a fee for?
Yes, it's so stupid. It's like to me, it's a blemish on our industry. It's unprofessional, it's sleazy, and there's no place for it. You don't need that. So
Right. Yeah. I really do argue, and I agree with you, Jake, that there's not a ton of value added if you're just going and if an advisor is just going and passively buying whatever ETFs mirror whatever indexes. Like, sure, it might work great when indexes are doing great, but what about when they're not? And like how that
well,
aligns with someone's plan.
yeah, and it's just if you just cut the advisor fee from that, you're going to do better.
Just the cost. You're right.
Yes. So like if you have an advisor who swears by products, then I would encourage you to challenge them and say, "Okay, stop charging me a percentage fee, charge me a per meeting fee
Mm,
or some sort of retainer fee." Like charge me $1,000 a year so I can call you when I need you. But don't charge me 1% on my $1 million portfolio and put it in index funds because now you're paying this advisor 10 grand to slap you in some products where he or she is doing nothing. It's garbage. Just
right.
garbage.
Yep.
Garbage. All right.
That's right. I love it, Jake.
Well, a quick thank you, Corey. And I know you've already mentioned this, but quick
Mm.
again, if you're listening or watching this and you're enjoying our content, just know Corey and I are out there producing more content like this on a daily basis, basically. You can follow me on Instagram, Jake_Falcon_CRPC. And if you want a complimentary copy of my book, Retiring Right, Smart Steps for Exiting Corporate America, just go ahead and give me a follow and then send me a quick message, RR. And I'll send you the ebook electronically, and that's yours for free, Corey. Corey, what about you? You're out there on Instagram.
I am. Yes. My handle on Instagram is at Cory Bittner KC. You can send me RR just the same. I will send you a copy of the ebook.
Yeah, good, good. There's more. There's a ton of content. It's 150 action-packed pages on retirement planning. Please give me and Corey both a follow. We don't care. Send either of us, both of us the message. We'll get you the ebook and you can have more great content coming from us. Okay, good.
And if I may, just real quick, expand on that just for a moment, though, Jake. The idea, though, behind what you're doing and what I'm doing, especially on social media, on these different platforms, is I think that we are taking a lot of what we talk about on this show once a week, distilling that down and trying to talk about it every day. And we're doing that to try to help people. to try to help educate people around their financial situation. So we recognize, right, these are 30-minute episodes. We do the video, we do the podcasts. But in terms of bite-sized bits, I mean, we know that your frequency is what you see frequently, right? So it's important to make sure that you're staying tuned into the right stuff, because I see the videos on Instagram, Jake, about the stock that I can buy that's going to make me 10,000%. So I know other people are seeing those too.
Right.
But as a reminder, what we're talking about here today is about treating your money seriously, about treating it like a professional and not like an amateur. And that's the messaging that Jake, you and I are trying to share with as many people as we can every day.
Good, Cory. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's another quick tip is like my Instagram, I try to, because we're all on there, or a lot of us are. I try to make sure I'm only following things that are beneficial to my life. So
Feed your
that way
mind.
I don't feel guilty about scrolling or looking at it because no, it's feeding me. You could use Instagram as a knowledge incubator. Like you can use it to feed, is that the right word? Incubator?
Yeah, I think it is.
Look at my vocab. Miffed and incubator in one
This is
episode.
I've got to give you, Jake, the book 500 Beautiful Words to Use on this podcast.
I blame Rachel. I blame Rachel. It's probably because I'm reading more. I blame her. So
That's good. It's a good thing.
that is a good thing. But my point is you can curate. So don't think Instagram is bad because you can choose what you follow. And if you're only following, like maybe you're following a nutrition person or a doctor or, you know, a wealth advisor that's not feeding you crap, and you follow trusted sources that are actually helping you enhance your life, then social media platforms aren't bad. They aren't evil. It's really what are you plugging in that algorithm? If it's feeding you garbage, I would argue that's your fault. So that 10,000 stock thing, Cory, that's your fault.
That's right. Feed me
Block
more
that.
garbage. Feed me. But yes, you're
that
right.
crap.
Yeah, it's right. It's because it's something I looked at.
Yeah.
It is.
Good. Good. All right, good. This is a great place to wrap up and to kind of transition into any recommendations, Cory. I like to always ask that. Is there anything you're reading, watching, listening to that you would recommend for our audience?
Yes. I'm reading a book right now, Jake, that is called The Demon of Unrest by Eric Larson. He's the author of The Devil in the White City and In the Garden of Beasts, The Splendid and the Vile. And it is about the period of time in basically the late 1800s into the 1850s, 1860s, around Lincoln's election, really around the sort of dawn of the Civil War, of what the environment and the climate was like, and some of the hubris of the thinking of people. Super interesting and compelling. I love stuff like that because it's interesting how 150 years ago, how simply you can draw some parallels to things that are happening in the world today and how human behavior repeats itself.
Nice.
How about you?
I am listening to The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, the revised version by Jason Zweig.
You didn't want to read that one?
What?
You didn't want to read that one?
No, I got the book. Look at this thing.
No, I know why.
For those that are watching, this thing is massively thick.
Yes.
It is it's very detailed. I'll tell you this though, I don't listen to books that often. I think I'm going to get into that more. And this was a great one to listen to. So I've really enjoyed listening to this. And so I do recommend it for someone, but you've got to have a pretty deep knowledge in investing to read or listen to this. It's not for the common person because it's pretty in depth. A nerd like me, a financial nerd like me, I'm loving it. So if you nerd out on this stuff, I really highly recommend you check that one out. That's kind of my latest thing. I don't have much else. I'm ready for winter to be over. I want to play golf. So hopefully this is our last bout of it and we can move forward.
I've got a paddle match scheduled tonight, Jake, in 0 degrees.
Man, be careful. Stretch, drink water, Cory.
That's right. And bundle up.
Bundle up. That's right. Well, thank you as always for joining me. And thank you all for tuning in. We hope you have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.